Hello and welcome to another Ask Me Anything session with CX. My name is Ash and I'm the Global Community Content Manager here at Elementor. And today I'm joined by Igor Elez, a CX Public Relations Specialist also here at Elementor. So welcome, Igor. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Ash. Nice to being here. Thanks.
Great to have you here as always. So the topic of conversation today is Elementor AI. Now, we've been collecting some questions all week, and Igor has prepared some demonstrations for you all where he'll be answering these questions, as well as giving you some really helpful tips. So shall we get started?
Yeah, why not?
All right, cool. So let's just load up the questions here. And before we start, actually, I should mention that, there is a chat both on the Facebook community and also our YouTube channel. So please ask your questions there. We do have members of staff in those chats that can answer your questions, or hopefully we can answer them live as well. So we'll have a nice section at the end of this discussion to answer those questions. But the pre-asked questions first. So Igor, are you ready? Here we go. So Mikkel asks, how do I structure prompts correctly?
Okay, that's a good question. That is something that I think a lot of people starting using AI might not really be aware that they are not talking to a human being. So it's not like me and you talking right now where you intuitively know what I mean when I say something. With AI, you really have to talk kind of like with a child. I would compare it, where you have to give all the necessary details to get the best answer. Of course, you can get a good answer maybe with as few as a couple of words, but the more you give the AI, the better the result you're going to get. So let me show you what that is. So I'm here on a test website, as you can see. I'm going to go edit with Elementor. And here we already have some titles and some text and so on. So let's say we want here a new title. So what I would do is I would add now a heading, and this is now on every Elementor website with the latest version. You have this button here. This button, as you can see, it says Write with AI. So if I click here, it will prompt me to ask AI to write a title for me. Now, there are some suggested prompts here. For example, craft a catchy slogan for, create a blog title, and so on and so forth. You can use one of these. So let's say we can use maybe this one, craft a catchy slogan for, and let's say plant business. But and we can generate text here, and it will generate the title slogan for the plant business. But we can go even further. We can say that specializes in cactuses. Okay, and then we can go even further and say the name is, let's say, for example, and click generate text. Now that we gave a lot of information, we're going to get a much better answer. And this is what we got. So this is a slogan, but this one might be too long for us. And now we have additional options here, make it shorter. And this is what we get. We can even make it even more short, or we can even translate it to another language or change the tone of this slogan. Shop for variety of unique cacti at WOT, and so on and so forth. So, yep, looks cool. So again, you can translate, you can change the tone to a playful one, for example. It's pretty cool. Now, a lot of people say, okay, maybe I don't like this prompt. I want to have more options. Well, you can do that as well. I'm going to go here, and what I like to do and how I like to start is, for example, if I need a slogan, or let's say I want to show 5 benefits from this business. So I'm going to say, write me 5 or unique features. Features of a plant business selling cacti. Or I think I wrote it. I wrote it good. Make them catchy and fun, let's say. So what's going to happen now, it is going to list 5 items for me, which I can choose one of those or multiple of those. And here we go. Okay. Spiky and sexy, eco warriors, and maintenance love. As you can see, it's not really filtered out. So yeah, looks cool. So you can go ahead and let's say you want to use, you can go and say use text. It's going to use the whole text, but now of course you can remove whatever you don't need and just go like that. One question we often get is about languages, but we can go about that later. I want to show one more thing very shortly, is about the text editor. If I put the text editor here, I can tell it to write me a blog post about this. Now, one thing to note is that AI is not really aware of the title that we have here. So let's say if I want a blog post from this title, I'm going to copy the title, go here in the text, click Write with AI, and tell it, write me a blog post based on this title. And I can put it in the quotation marks and add more details. For example, it needs to be insightful. If I wrote that, okay, cool. So, for example, like this, I can get an insightful blog post from the title I just pasted. So those are the ways to use, and here we go. We can see it's very long. Again, we can simplify the language. Fix spelling and grammar, actually you don't need to do that because it's usually already fixed. And just click use text, and here we go.
That's great. Thank you, Igor. There's some great examples of how to correctly write prompts, and certainly something that I've experienced is the more descriptive, the better. Don't assume that AI knows exactly what you need. You have to give it clear and concise instructions. And I find that just spending a few extra seconds with the prompt really does, generate a better outcome. So definitely be a little bit more descriptive, tell it everything that you need, and hopefully the end result will be much better for you. All right, great. Let's move on to the next question. So here we are. The next question is from Mansoon, and he asks, how can I animate a heading or any other text?
Oh, it's a good question. So let's do with this heading here. So we have a heading here, and let's say we want to animate it. Of course, Elementor already has some animations that you can use under advanced here. If you go and motion effects, you can turn on the mouse effect, for example, 3D. I love this one, 3D tilt, where you move a mouse and it goes 3D opposite way or direct way and so on. You can have entrance animations and so on. But a lot of times, let's say you want something that maybe it's not here listed and you want a certain animation of this text. I'm going to do a simple animation here. You can do everything that you can do with CSS at the moment here. So if I just go custom CSS, of course, some animations would require some JavaScript, and that's something you can't do from here. But I'm going to show you where you might get the JavaScript for your more complicated animations. But again, you have to be as descriptive as possible. So at this time, what we're going to do again, I'm going to go to the title, where I've gone to Advanced tab, and here under the Custom CSS, we have a button called Code with AI. I'm going to click that one. And we have here some interesting suggestions on hover, animate 20% bigger, rotate 10 degrees. This one is very interesting. Add a 3D shadow to the text, and so on and so forth. But we're going to use one of ours. And I'm going to show you something that sometimes, depending on how you ask it, you might not get the effect. I'm going to show you why and how to fix that. So let's say I ask it to make the title grow and shrink every 1 second. Grow, but grow. Okay, make the title grow and shrink every 1 second. Pretty easy. And because I said make the title grow and shrink, it might not know which title. So as we see, we got the code here. It uses properly the selector, so it's not affecting everything else, only this particular widget. But we see here that it says H1, which is heading 1. So let's insert it and see if it works. As we can see, it does not move. It doesn't animate. Why is that? Because again, it is not aware that this title, particular title that we're talking about, is using the HTML tag H3. So in order to fix this, you would have to go back to advanced, custom CSS, and instead of H1, you would say H3. And now you have growing and shrinking every second. It might not look good, but it's doing what we told it to do. Okay, so again, this is something to note, that it's not aware of exactly maybe where which title you mean. So sometimes it's not going to provide the exact code, so you have to maybe know which title heading you're using and so on. I'm going to show also here with this widget. So this is a gallery widget, as you can see. And let's say I want each image, when I hover over, to grow a certain percentage. So I'm going to go again into advanced, into custom CSS, and go code with AI. And I'm going to say grow grow gallery image and hover. Now, this is going to be very interesting. Let's see what it comes up with. Here we go. So here in this particular example, it did find the correct gallery. This is class, sorry. So the correct gallery class we have both here. So one is Elementor gallery and an Elementor gallery item, and we have the image hover. And let's see if this works. So at the moment it doesn't, as you can see. So what you can do is you can go to see why it might not work by right-clicking on the item and clicking inspect. And we can see that here, this is the class, so gallery image.
Sorry, Igor, you're going to have to share this this other screen because we can just see the Elementor editor at the moment, not the inspect. So if you can share that screen and then we'll put it up.
Right. Give me a second. Thank you for mentioning.
No problem.
That. Let's see how. There we go. Hopefully this is the one. Nope. This is the one. Okay.
We'll get there.
There we go. Okay, we can see it here, but you can't see actually what I'm inspecting at the moment, unfortunately. So maybe if I share the whole screen, that would be better.
Yeah, if you could share your window, perhaps that should hopefully have the inspect window as well.
Yep. And I think we have it now. Can you prompt it? Yes.
Okay, I can confirm that we can see that. Thank you.
Right. So when we are here in the gallery, what we can do to make sure that we are on the right track, we can go and right-click inspect. and see that here the gallery item is this one, e-gallery item. Okay, and we don't see the image tag actually here. So it is the div tag. So here what first we can do is maybe we can first remove the image tag, just have it on hover, and have the right class, this e-gallery item. So here, as you can see, it didn't really get the right. And here we go. As you can see, now it's growing. So sometimes, again, it's not getting the right class. We are, again, the more people use it, the better the results will be for sure. Last time I tested it, it did use the right class, but this time it didn't. Just have to be aware of this, and this is the way you fix it. You inspect the element, check which class it is, and you can fix it like that. So that's the example.
That's great, Igor. Thank you, and I think that's extremely valuable for everybody to learn. That if the generated code isn't working for you, it's well worth jumping into the inspector in the browser just to double check that the class it's selected is correct, because that's usually the case of why it hasn't worked.
Exactly.
Okay.
Usually the code is good, but the class might not be all the time.
Exactly.
But again, it's getting better. I see and again, be sure to maybe prompt it a different way. You don't have to use that prompt. You can, okay, what's the other way I can ask it? Maybe I get a better result.
Great, thank you. Okay, so moving on, we have a question from Rebecca Hayes, and she asks, I'm confused about how I can use AI with the HTML widget. Could you give me an example?
Of course. So let's do that. So if we add elements here and search for HTML, you can add it here. And now you have HTML code. You can click here, code with AI. So one thing I always get questioned in support, and this has been a long time now, that is the tables in Elementor. As everybody knows, we don't have a widget for tables, and a lot of people are using third-party plugins or going on third-party websites to generate tables, or just writing the code, or even copying from Excel and pasting. So instead of that, what you can do here is you can add the HTML widget and just tell it to create a table for you. So let's do that. Again, you have here some really nice and interesting questions, prompts that you can use here. These are all very good. But what we're going to do, we're going to ask it to create a table. And we can tell it how many rows, how many columns, but let's try it differently. Let's say 3 times 4. Let's see what it does. Again, the good thing is it knows that it is in the HTML widget. It knows that it needs to create an HTML code, which is great. So that's exactly what we got, as you can see. And we're going to insert it. And it really didn't, it's not really, oh, it is, sorry, it is 3 times 4, 3 times 4, but it does have headings, okay? So next time, if I don't want headings, I can maybe say 3 times 4 without headings. So this is exactly what we got, and it's a nice table, and we can go ahead and now change the text inside. So yeah, this is one of the ways, but again, you can generate whatever HTML code you need. But this is one of the most frequent asked questions in Elementor. How do I create a table? And now here is how.
I still have nightmares about HTML tables from when I first became a web designer developer many, many years ago, because this is how we used to build structure into designs. So it's always interesting to see the code again. But yeah, a really great use case of using the HTML widget. There are many use cases, but yeah, generating a table. And in fact, we saw in the community recently, I believe it was Nigel, with his kind of demo website, did some pretty impressive things creating tables. So yeah, a really great example there. Thank you. Okay, so on to the next question. So Bennett Hoffman has asked, does Elementor AI use Chat GPT?
Yes, Elementor AI does use ChatGPT. At the moment, we are using the version 3.5 because this version is just good, great enough to do all the things that you need to. We might change it in the future. Not sure. At the moment, the latest one is 4.0, but at the moment we're using ChatGPT 3.5. However, again, this ChatGPT is modified in a way that it knows when it needs to create HTML code, CSS code, and where to look for classes. Again, might not be the best all the time, but it tries. And again, it's getting better. The more people use it, our AI is training on the data and it's getting better.
That's really exciting because it is getting better and we can really see clearly that it's getting better very, very quickly. So give it a few more months and I think it's going to be incredibly impressive what this can do. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So Henson, I don't have a surname, but Henson asks, is the paid version quicker and faster to respond than the free version?
That's a very good question. We do get these questions. What's the difference between paid and free version? And I can tell you the only difference is that the paid version is not limited to how many prompts you can ask it. Okay, how many questions, whatever you need. So it's not, at the moment, it's not limited. But the free version is limited, and that's the only limitation, the number of words it can generate. Now, I can't really tell you how many words because this is, again, something that is changing. But the good thing is everybody that has an account with us, a free account, and uses the free version of AI will get notified when they exceed 80% of the prompts they generated. So it is based on the generated number of words. So that's the only limitation. You will get the first email you will get after you use 80%, and then after that you will get another email when you use the whole 100%. And at that moment, of course, you can upgrade to the pro version of AI. So one thing there also to mention is a lot of people ask, you know, can it be faster? Or there is another question I believe later we have maybe about can I chat with the AI in Elementor? And at the moment, the answer is no, which doesn't mean that it's not going to change. Yeah, I think we have that as a next question, maybe.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, so the next question, and it actually links up with some questions that we've had live. So let's combine these together. I'll read them all out to you, Igor, so you know exactly
Yes, please.
What I'm talking about. So first of all, Alexander asked, when will AI be able to understand the language of the text which is already in the field? So I assume this is if somebody's written in a language that isn't English. And to make text modifications on this language rather than in English. And we've also had some questions in the live chat from Go to Italy on YouTube. Can you show how to adapt the translate function? And then another question, which is very similar. Could you show how to? Could you show how to use the translate function in AI? So perhaps we could just dive into that translate function for a little while, and I'm sure we'll probably answer all of these questions. So I'll share your screen again. Bear with me. Here we go. Ready when you are.
So first of all, I want everybody to know that this is our first iteration of AI, and it will definitely change based on your user feedback. One thing I like using Elementor AI for translation. However, it is a little bit limited in my view, and it can get better, and I hope so. Let me show you what I mean. So let's say you have this page, okay? And the most wonderful thing would be, of course, that there is one click somewhere here that says translate to German. And it goes and translates everything to German, and you don't have to worry about it. And I would really like to see that. However, at the moment, to let's say translate this page to German, what you would do is you would go to each widget, go to content, go to write with AI. It has this content here, and you can just say translate to and choose your language. Okay, so at this moment, okay, let's do. By the way, here we have 25 languages. This list might expand. However, at the moment, it's 25 languages. So let's say actually Spanish. We wait a little bit, and here we go. We get the translation. Again, it is good, always good to have someone that understands Spanish to go through this text and see if this is a good translation or not, and maybe change the tone of voice of this translation to another one, which will do, let's say more friendly. Again, I don't understand Spanish, so I'm not the best this, but let's say this way, and we say use text. Cool. So we can go ahead and do the same for other widgets. However, as you can see, the limitation is that you have to go to each widget and do the same. Okay, so again, maybe in the future we get a better better implementation, let's say, of the translation function. However, you're not only limited to these languages. This is very important to say. What do I mean by that? So let's say I want to translate this into my native language, which is Serbian language. Unfortunately, Serbian language is not in the list here, as you can see, of these 25 languages. But what I can do is I can copy the text here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy the text, okay? Again, you can translate to any language. You're not limited to those 25. It's just the way that you have to do it is this way. You have to copy, click here, write with AI, new prompt, because we want to ask it differently, and just say, okay, to Serbian, and just put it in the quotes and click generate text. So that's it. We just told it, hey, translate this to Serbian language, gave it the same text, use text, and here we go. So you can actually translate to any language whatsoever. And there was another question is, okay, so what if I want to ask it in my own language question? Of course, you can do that as well. You're not limited to English language. So you can go ahead and say new prompt and ask it, write me a title. Again, you can say in the Serbian language, or in Serbian language, this would mean, it would be like, for example, like this, but I can ask it this way. Again, you can ask it in your own language. You don't have to ask it in English. So write it back in Serbian language and about a plant business without this S, and I can tell it use this as a starting point. So again, I can do this, and it will do that. It will write the title for me in Serbian language, and until here. So this is the title, creating plant pot. So this is the Serbian language, and this is here the explanation. So again, it can be used that way. Another thing people ask is, this is not like ChatGPT because I cannot continue the conversation, for example, if I don't like the results. And that is at the moment true, which again doesn't mean it's not going to change, but at the moment, if you have a prompt here and you have here some things that you can do to continue with this prompt is make it shorter, make it longer, simplify, fix spelling, translate, and so on. But you can't really talk to it and say, hey, reform this sentence. The only thing, again, you can do at the moment is copy the sentence, go new prompt, and ask it a new question. So that's the way that you can kind of continue the conversation, but not really. But yeah, that's at the moment the way to do it.
That actually leads on to the next question that I was going to read out to you, which I will still read because it's a great question, and I think it's good for people to learn how to use Elementor AI in the most efficient way. And if you've come from using, say, ChatGPT, you may be used to having that conversation, writing a prompt, it's not quite right. So you then, reiterate it and fine tune it. Whereas in Elementor AI, it is kind of a one-hit prompt, and you can copy and paste that, and so that you've still got it. But Nigel Hancock asked earlier on in the week, when using ChatGPT to generate code, it's quite common to ask for it to work. Let's start again. For it to rework it in some way, or simply say this doesn't work, and it will usually eventually get it right. It seems we're unable to do that in Elementor AI, which is what you've just explained, that it's not a conversation that you're having. If the prompt isn't right, it does mean you have to go back in there and rephrase it slightly. I have a question for you, Igor.
Yes.
The text that's been translated. Oh, sorry, please do.
So one suggestion there. So instead of always having it to give you, this is the thing I would like it to do. I would like it to create more suggestions for me. So if I go new prompt, and we can see here suggested prompts. But what I would like to do is every time I do this, I can maybe select here more suggestions. So craft 5 catchy slogans. So again, if one is not good for you, one of the other 4 might be. So again, you're using more words here for sure if you're limited, if you didn't purchase it. But again, it's going to give you more results, more ideas for what you need. You can do the same for the code. Like after it generates the code, you can even tell it to write 2 types of code, and it will do that. So you can maybe get an idea of what you really need.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Okay, so time for another live question. Initially, I didn't think this would be suitable for our discussion, but actually, as more information's come in, I think this could be a good demonstration. It's not something I've tried in AI, so it might not be something you've tried either. But so Chuck Key's Art Studio from YouTube, first of all, asked or stated that typography is their biggest challenge when it comes to being responsive. How can we use AI to improve that? Now, I think there's just a general learning curve about typography and font sizes to learn anyway, outside of AI, obviously. However, we could use AI to write things like font clamp properties for us. And maybe that's something we can try. I know that this one hasn't been practiced.
Absolutely. But, I haven't tried it, so we are doing this live. So
nor have I. So I'm really intrigued actually to see how it does. So let me share the screen.
Right. So I'm going to go site settings here, as you saw. And I'm going to go here to global fonts. And let's say the primary font. Okay, so we have here, of course, the sizes for desktop, tablet, and mobile. However, now we have also the clamp function that we can use. So let's say for desktop we have it. For tablet, let's say we want everything between mobile and desktop to be responsive. So let's try. So on mobile it's 36 pixels, on desktop is 55 pixels, and for tablet we have 44. And it would be great if we can go here. As you know, now we have manual, and we don't have an AI here. And a lot of people are saying, okay, so I don't have an AI here, which means I can't fix this. Not true. We can actually exit from here. And let's do it this way. Let's go here in our HTML widget. Why not? And ask it the question to write a clamp for font in 32 pixels and 5 pixels, and on the viewport width. Let's try this way. Let's see what's going to happen.
I'm intrigued.
Okay, here we go. So we have the font size clamp 3255.
So it's written the function, which is a good start.
So we're gonna copy this again. Let's see what it does. Not really familiar that much with clamp as well, but let's see. So if we go here to the primary and go to the size of the tablet, which we are now, and change it to manual and put the clamp function here. We don't need this one, and save. Back to the editor. So now the size of the tablet should change depending on if this is the primary. Let's see if this is the primary. No, this is secondary. Now is the primary. Okay, cool. So now, yes, as you can see here, it is indeed changing based on the width of the screen. So we made it. We made the text responsive based on the width of the device for tablet. Again, for desktop is fixed, for mobile is 32, for this one is 55, but everything in between is now completely scalable, the font. So yeah, you can do this as well.
All right, I think that was a really good first attempt at writing the CSS function for the clamp property there. So yeah, with a bit of fine tuning, you could definitely get some good results from there. Okay, so next question. So we kind of covered this already, but maybe this lady came in afterwards. So let's go over it again. But Tanya from YouTube has asked, can you make a unique animation for the text with AI? And we did cover this briefly, but perhaps you could show a different example now, Igor, just for everyone else's benefit, on how to apply an animation to text.
So yes, we already gone through that one before, but let's see what else we can do maybe here. So we have this, do we want a text animation or heading? I'm not sure what kind of animation. Do we have any?
We did heading before, didn't we? So
yeah, to do the text here.
Yeah, let's do something slightly different just to.
Do you have an idea what we can do? We can ask it. Let's see what it gives us here. On hover, animate 20% bigger, rotate 10 degrees, add a 3D shadow. The text, rainbow colored animated text. Again, this is really all up to you what you need. But again, we're just gonna have a little bit fun here, and let's actually do one of the suggestions. Okay, so let's see what it does. So it goes selector, background. Okay, let's actually see if this. Oh wow, this looks nice.
That's colorful.
Yeah, really. So yeah, now you can go ahead and edit these values the way that you like. But yes, it did exactly what we asked. Again, you can be more specific to what you want. The great thing here is it didn't have to understand is it H1 or H2. It's just the text, so it applied to it, and yeah, looks nice.
All right, good work. Thank you, Igor. Okay, let me just check the questions. So where are we? Oh, we just had a new one come through from Chucky's Art Studio. Again, we've heard from these guys already today. Thank you for asking questions. So the question is, in fact, I can put this on screen for you, how to generate a shape on a hover button. So I assume perhaps change the shape of the button itself. That's certainly how I would read that.
Let's see. It's a good question. About generator shape, I'm not sure what they mean, but let's actually change the color of the button first. Let's see. Text color green, background black. Okay. Again, the question is
how to generate a shape on a hover button. So I've kind of deciphered that as if a button was rectangle with 0 pixel corners initially, on hover it could have rounded corners. That would be a very simple example. So maybe we could do something a little bit more extreme. Perhaps it could be a square to start with that turns into a circle on hover, something like that.
Let's do that. So one thing you can do in Elementor, you can change, of course, the colors on hover, the background type, and so on. What you can't really do is change the border radius. So border radius, let's say if it's 25, button like this, 20, and on hover you want it, square or like this. You can't really do it. It's on both is the same. So if we go to AI and go custom CSS code with AI, we can ask it to do just that. Make the button. We can go and say border radius and say how much we want on hover. Or we can just simply try and use the most simple language. Let's see what it does. I'm always interested in not giving it precise things to do and see what it does. So let's see, make the button corners round. Okay, so as you see here, it's not really specific, but let's see what it does. Okay, so it did do hover and radius 30 pixels. Okay. However, we can see that it is not working for us. Let's see if it is indeed the inspected. Give me a second. Oh, all the colors just changed. Oh, there we go. Okay. Right click, inspect. So we're looking for the class of the button. Elementor button link. Elementor widget button. So what's Elementor widget button? That's exactly it. Hover, border radius. Oh, sorry. Not sure why this one is not working, but again, the good thing is we can see if it does better if we use a more specific prompt. So let's ask it on hover. Let's see if it gives us different code, but I'm not sure if it will. Okay, it's different. So it just says selector. It's not even using the class this time. But at the moment, I'm not seeing it doing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's being specific enough with the class of the button for some reason.
It should be Elementor widget button the first time that it used. Let's see if we can change it to this one. Maybe you see something I don't at the moment. So do it this way. No, I don't see.
Okay. A little bit more time is needed on that one. One thing that I would perhaps try is if I had a very specific use case for a button, and in fact, there is a little bit more info from the Chuck Keys Art Studio. They've added like a brush stroke, so a very specific hover use case. I'm not sure about the brushstroke itself. That would maybe require some type of SVG or something like that. But maybe using a HTML widget and then asking Elementor AI to create you a button that's a square initially, and then on hover turns into a brushstroke, would give you
Actually,
slightly better results. Should we try it? Yeah,
absolutely.
For some reason, it was having trouble targeting the specific class of the button there. So,
for sure. So let's do that here. So let's ask it to create a button, square button. Sorry. Square button that changes shape to oval on hover. Okay, that's a very simple prompt. Let's see. Again, the speed of the AI, it's not really something we can affect all the time. Sometimes it's very quick, sometimes it's like this. And this is an interesting result that we just got. This is something that I got a couple of times before as well, where it wouldn't really start from the button. It would do the whole HTML, the whole page. And if you go ahead and insert, we do get the result, but we have, again, a lot of code that we might not even need here. So for example, it starts with HTML and head and adds the style in the head part, which we can leave, but this part HTML we don't need. It knows it's HTML already. Yes, it did exactly what we asked. Actually, it's not the oval shape, it's really the circle shape in the end that we get here, but it starts from a square. Yeah, we could also tell it to, we can see here that it's changing the shape, but we can also tell it to maybe add a text inside to link it to a certain part of the page or another page and so on.
That's great. I think that's a good option if you have a very specific use case for creating something like a button. And I would also say if you're not, if it does generate additional HTML like it did for you there in that example, and you're not comfortable removing the unnecessary HTML, perhaps just generate a new prompt and tell it that you just want the HTML for the button. You don't need the other stuff. And
that's actually a very good thing. What I'm going to do is, again, because we cannot continue the conversation, I can copy this code. I can go back to code with AI, and I can tell it remove the necessary, writing very fast, code for HTML. Let's try it this way. Let's see what it does. Okay.
So it's giving you the button HTML, but it's
just
it's empty. Okay, a little bit more fine tuning needed for sure with that one. Let's move on to the next question. And this one's actually from Nicholas, who is very kindly helping in the comment section today. So thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you, Nicholas.
And he has asked, can you show me how to change the tone of the text? So yes, if you've generated some text and you're not happy with the tone of how it sounds, can you show me how to change that?
Right. I think we already did that, but again, if you, let's say this is the text and we want to change the tone, we just go right with AI. It will show the whole text here, and we can just choose the tone here. So change the tone, and you can choose one of these. Again, if this is not exactly what you want, if you want a different tone, and that's not listed here, you can actually copy this and tell it to change it to that specific tone you want. We're going to do both now. I'm going to just copy this later. I'm just going to change the tone maybe to a more formal tone. We just click formal, we wait a couple of seconds, and we will get the same text in a more formal tone. It's pretty easy. It's the same way you do this for translations. Okay, so here we go. We even got the sincerely at the end. So like writing an email, it's really formal. Okay, and again, we can make it shorter. We can again change the tone if we want. But this time, if we change the tone, it will use this text as the starting point, not the original text. So please keep that in mind. So let's say we want to use this text. And let's say we now want to change the tone again, but again to something that's not on the list here. Let's do it. So what we would do is we would copy the text. Okay, and let's do it like this, new prompt, and say we write this as a experienced copywriter writing a blog post for a plant. Okay, and we can say make it interesting and add a call to action line calling customers to, again, you can go as specific as you wish to buy a flower. Okay, unspecific flower, and we paste the whole text, and this is again the formal text we got, and click generate text. So what it will do, it will change the tone to exactly what we want. It will add the call to action text, and this is what it came out with. Again, you can, it's not maybe every time going to be the best results. You can of course go back and ask it maybe to give you another version or a couple of versions to use. So yeah, looks good.
Great, thank you, Igor. It really does make life quite easy, doesn't it? When you can just say, change the tone. It needs to be more professional, or whatever it might be. Okay, we have time for one more question, and this might be a challenge. It could work. It might, we'll see. In fact, I can pop it up onto screen. Yeah. This is the fun thing, hey, just testing this stuff out.
Fun thing of doing things live.
So Emmanuel has asked, can AI make a parallax background page with some layers, so Z-index in it? So images upon images, I assume. Pretty kind of common layout. What do you think, Igor? Should we give it a go?
Yes, let's try it.
Okay, so this will be the last question of the day, so fingers crossed.
Parallax with images. So this is the thing. So when we're dealing with images, and you want something like this done, if you try doing it with existing Elementor widgets, again, you could get into this struggle with doing the right pinpoint the right class, which we did with the button. Maybe the solution is using the HTML widget, and the images that you have, you can use your own images that you uploaded to your website, and you can actually use the links. So let's do that. Let's actually do that. So let's HTML widget. And before that, I'm going to get the URLs of some of these images. So here we go, this image here where it says file URL, I'm going to copy the URL, and I'm going to copy this one as well, copy image. Oh, sorry. Copy URL. So I have two of those, and I can say here, write the AI. Again, this is something you don't need to tell it because it already knows it's the HTML code, but this time I'm going to try it this way. Create HTML code. Or no, let's do it this way. Okay. Parallax effect of these two images. How do I say? Layered. Another. Accidentally pressed enter.
We'll see what it comes up with without the full
Yes.
instructions. Who knows?
So
it might
lacks
give
a
us a
lot
good
of.
result.
I'm used to pressing enter, and this time, okay, so it did already give us a result. Again, we didn't give it which images, but we do have here image 1, image 2. Let's see what it created. Well, there is some kind of parallax effect going on. And here we go, image1.jpg. I'm going to put one of the ones that we have. There we go. And let's see, where is the image 2? There we go, image 2. Here I have a copy of it, of the URL. Paste the URL. And here we go. It is a parallax effect of two images layered. And one of them is even transparent.
Yeah, it's added some opacity somewhere, hasn't it? But not a terrible start. Not really. It's given you the basis of something to work from.
Absolutely. And one thing here, be aware that it can, how would we say it? It can be creative in a way that it does additional things that you really didn't ask it to, and sometimes those things can be great. Sometimes those things can be, oh, I don't really need this. I didn't ask you to do this, but again, because you have the whole source code, you can easily manipulate and remove what you don't need.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Well, that is all we have time for today, I'm afraid. But let's continue this conversation. We want to keep talking about AI. So feel free to keep adding your questions in the Facebook community or on our YouTube channel, and we will be sure to monitor them and to respond to them. So thank you very much, Igor, for your expertise today. It's always very welcomed. And me and Igor will continue to host these live AMA sessions. So let us know in the comments below what you think the subject of the next one should be. And thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all then. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.